Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Brenau Senior Day. Happy to have all of you here today. Mike Locke, Stanford Athletics Director. This is a special occasion, not just for our seniors, but also to honor the legacy of one of our former members of our athletic training staff, Mike Clanton. Mike Clanton served with us for 15 years. I'm happy at this point to recognize his family who have driven from Athens to be here today. Mrs. Sue Clanton and his brother Eric. Thank you all for coming. I shared some of what I'm about to say today at his funeral last summer. It's been a challenging year, as you all know, but I'm thankful that we're here today and we're able to give tribute to the many great things that Mike provided and did for us as an athletics department. But you know, unlike previous years, we had to wait a little bit in order for this to happen. So I'm appreciative of the fact that we have a great turnout today, and I'm appreciative of the fact that those that are here that knew Mike know exactly what I'm talking about when I say some of the things I'm going to say, because he was truly an influential figure in Brenau athletics. And it's fitting today that we're in this venue. So Mike loved sports, as you all know. He loved our athletes, he loved our department, he loved our coaching staff. He really loved softball, I can promise you. He enjoyed every minute of his time with our softball team, and it was one of the joys that he developed over the years as a part of his job. Traveling and working with our softball team and program and helped to make them what they are today. So if you hadn't had an opportunity to run up to the hill and grab a Coke or a Powerade or a Gatorade, or a Slim Jim, those were some of Mike's favorite things. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I never saw Mike without a Coke in his hand, and he was always carrying it around, and yeah, he shared that passion with some of us on the staff, his love for Coke. Mike, or Trainer Mike, as he was known by our athletes, came to Brenau in 2005. He loved the university, our staff, and athletes, was a true friend to all, and was a huge part of our department for 15 years. It's hard to put into words what the impact on the university was, but I can honestly say we wouldn't be where we are today without his involvement. Mike helped put in place physicians, dentists. He provided relationships with healthcare personnel in the Gainesville community. He put policies in place that protected our athletes, and most importantly, he took care of all of us, athletes and coaches alike. When Mike first came to Brenau, he was employed by Pro Therapy. He subsequently moved on to NGPG, Northeast Georgia Physicians Group, and you'll hear from our colleagues today when they speak about Mike and his involvement with Brenau. His designated role was as Brenau's Director of Athletic Training. He served as President of the Georgia Athletic Trainers Association at one point in his career, and in that capacity, I would argue that it would be difficult to find an athletic trainer in the state that hadn't been taught, mentored, or coached by Mike in some way, and each and every one of them would have such great things to say about him. Mike left one of the giants of the SEC, the University of Georgia, to come work at Brenau. Think about that. When Mike arrived, we were very much a small school, small department. We're still a small school, but we've quadrupled the number of athletes that we had when Mike first arrived. During Mike's tenure, Brenau athletic teams produced 63 All-Americans, won 19 conference championships, and participated in 45 national championships. I say this not to highlight those achievements, but to say that none of those would have been possible without Mike's involvement and his consistent care of our athletes and coaches. Accolades aside, Mike's most important quality is he had a huge heart for service and for athletes and a genuine love of people. He spent thousands of hours treating athletes, transporting them to doctors' appointments, sitting in the ER until late at night. taking phone calls at all hours. I can't remember a time when I texted or called Mike and he didn't respond right away. That's who he was. I've had the privilege throughout my career of almost 30 years of serving at 4 colleges and universities and worked with some outstanding folks, but none of them like Mike. Truly at the top of his profession in character and in deed and his love and care for people. In closing, I would like to note some things that we are committed to doing to continue to honor Mike's service and preserve his legacy. First, a fund has been set up that will directly support our athletic training needs at Brenau. All of the funds that have thus far been received have come as a result of Mrs. Clanton, who requested last summer that donations be made in Mike's memory to help with athletic department needs and scholarships. Thank you, Mrs. Clanton. This fund will continue to grow well into the future to support the needs of our athletes and our athletic department. Additionally, in an effort to continue to honor the memory of Mike and his legacy, I'm announcing that we're establishing the Michael D. Clanton Excellence in Athletics Award. This will be an award bestowed on a junior or senior athlete that demonstrates those qualities and values that Mike modeled throughout his service to Brenau. Qualities like servant leadership, hard work, loyalty, teamwork, character, and of course, excellence in sports and academics. This award will be one of our most prestigious awards and will be given annually at our Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony. This award will come with a rigorous vetting process to determine the most deserving recipient and someone who epitomizes the excellence that Mike stood for. In closing, I would just ask you all just to remember what a great man Mike was. At some point, up on the hill there, we will have a tree planted in his honor. That was Mike's favorite place. He loved to see home runs hit up there. So we'll have a tree up there, we'll have a plaque underneath it to commemorate Mike and his service to Brenau. Thank you all. Some of my colleagues are going to speak on his behalf. First is Chris Deerwent, who's Manager of Athletic Training Services for Northeast Georgia Physicians Group.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Sue and Aaron, for being here today. I appreciate it. I personally knew Mike my entire athletic training career, as he hired me directly out of grad school. If I could describe Mike, as many have stated throughout these past few months, I would say that he is one of the most loyal and dedicated athletic trainers in our profession. From his days at the University of Georgia to his many years at Brenau, Mike truly had a servant's heart. I personally knew of times Mike went out of his way to take care of an athlete, his fellow AT colleagues, coaches, or sports teams, without wanting or looking for recognition or acknowledgement. That's just who Mike was. As of 2020, Mike hit 30 years of dedicated service as an athletic trainer. I'm a numbers guy, so I wanted to provide you with what this looks like practically. Based on the previous 5 years of data that I have, and using the same algorithm for the previous 25, Mike performed roughly the following. Over 150,000 separate interactions with athletes or patients, which include evaluations, consultations, treatments, and rehabs. He worked with and helped close to a total of 10,000, if not more, collegiate athletes during their college career. He helped mentor hundreds of future athletic trainers, some here today, as a preceptor during their collegiate rotations. And he covered close to 3,000 collegiate home games or events, and that is not including any type of away travel. Mike used his experience to successfully lead and grow athletic training programs, both in pro therapy, as Mike mentioned, and Northeast Georgia Physicians Group. In this role, he helped to bring valuable AT services to schools and communities where it was virtually non-existent. With Mike's solid footing and knowledge, NGPG has been able to grow a small group of 4 athletic trainers, with myself being one of those first, to well over 20, who continue to serve communities across Northeast Georgia. Some of these are local here in Gainesville, and others as far north as Tacoma. His efforts have and will continue to benefit these communities for many years to come. As a collegiate athletic trainer, Mike had the opportunity to work with athletes from all walks of life. His typical day would be spent taking care of his athletes before practice or games so they could safely and effectively participate in their sport. Some days, however, he would respond to a call where an athlete has sustained a catastrophic injury that needed his immediate attention. I remember receiving such a phone call from Mike in February 2019, where he and his fellow AT colleague, who's here today, had to perform CPR on a staff member in the Brenau fitness room. Thankfully, due to Mike's swift action and implementation of the emergency action plan, this individual survived and is doing well to this day. And there's many more examples. I'm sure Mr. Lewis will have a few to share with you as well. Mike's 30 years of dedicated service as an athletic trainer are nothing short of outstanding and an accomplishment worth celebrating. Sue and Eric, we appreciate you both coming out today. We would like to present to you a 30-year service award to commemorate Mike's legacy with NGPG and the athletic training profession. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and what a beautiful afternoon. It's amazing as we were preparing for this how the sun just started to shine. So glad the Clantons are here with us today so we can share this time and remember Mike. And I can guarantee you that we could find rows of people that would stand up and share similar stories and more stories, probably that many of us that even knew Mike probably hadn't even heard before. I came to Brenau about 7 years ago to teach in the physical therapy program, and I was soon asked to speak to students about the physical therapy profession. As I'm waiting to talk, in walks a friend from the past, Mike Clanton, to do the same thing for athletic training. I was not aware that Mike was the trainer at Brenau, as we had lost contact after knowing each other while we were at the University of Georgia together. We both served as student trainers at the University of Georgia, where Mike was also the head student athletic trainer for 2 years. Mike remained at the University of Georgia as a certified athletic trainer, and he loved covering his sports. He loved baseball, which is now transferred into fast pitch softball, and he loved basketball as well. Thankfully, I had a familiar face at Brenau, and we both saw potential in further assisting the athletes in the athletic training program he had already made his own, which had no other option but to be the best. We often shared lunch and talked over ideas, and of course shared some laughs, reminiscing about old times with the dogs. Yes, Mike had a sense of humor, and it was sometimes overlooked, but he loved sharing a good story. He was intensely professional, always focused about his purposes. He understood the importance of what he was doing, and he knew his job oh so well. He never stopped learning, earning his strength and conditioning certification as well as his EMT, and he loved to teach. Brenau was looking at starting an athletic training program, and of course Mike was wisely brought in as a consultant. He was like a kid in the park because educating people was a hallmark of his trade. Mike's demeanor was magnetic. He was a friend to everyone who met him, and it was certainly not hard to feel that way once you did. When I think about Mike, the other words come to surface. Selfless. Always engaged and focused on those around him is most important. First to arrive, last to leave. He lived a life focusing on making others better around him, and he even saved a few along the way. Caring. Just talk to these amazing athletes. These young ladies were his kids, and he loved you each very, very much. Humble. This is from a book that I recently read by Rabbi Jason Sobel. What does it mean to have humility like that of Jesus and Moses? Specifically, it means not thinking too highly of yourself, not thinking you were especially deserving of praise and honor, esteeming others as greater than yourself, bearing insults, not desiring positions of authority, and fleeing honor, showing honor to all people. That was Mike. Mature. Being quite immature myself in college, he drove me crazy because Mike was the kind of person I knew I should be in my professional journey. You know, most of us changed with time, but Mike was the same person in college that he was when I arrived here at Brenau, always dedicated to serving those around him. Despite his demanding profession and work ethic, you would think that Mike went home exhausted, but more than likely he was satisfied, which is probably why I could never get him to come to a Saturday tailgate to watch the dogs. He was either recharging his batteries for the next adventure or was off and running to another practice, meet, or covering a game. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to, and he loved every moment. Mike left us way too soon, but not without leaving us with the gift of his best every day. Well done, good and faithful servant. Mike will be missed, but he will never be forgotten.
My name is Faith Grooms and I'm a senior this year. From the moment I stepped foot in the training room my freshman year at Brenau, trainer Mike was very welcoming and made it known that he was there to help with whatever. I'm really not sure how he managed it, but he was able to cater to all of the athletes' needs. To the softball team, T. Mike was not just our athletic trainer, we considered him part of our coaching staff and as a part of our team. He never missed a home game, and he rarely missed away games, regardless of the circumstances. T. Mike has been with us through the highs and the lows. He provided care from the athletic training standpoint, but was also there to talk and listen, whether it was athletic related or not. We never hesitated to make daily trips to the training room because we all knew that T. Mike cared about us. While receiving treatment, he never hesitated to ask about our day and what was going on in our classes. He cared about the student athletes far beyond athletics. During games, he would bring the best snacks for our team. He would address nagging injuries that we had, but most importantly, he was Coach Thomas's right-hand man. One of my favorite memories of him was my sophomore year when we won the conference tournament. T. Mike not only made sure the other sports at Brenau were taken care of, he also drove himself all the way to Kingsport, Tennessee to support us throughout the tournament. He always went above and beyond in every single thing he did. This 2021 softball season has been very different in many aspects, and not having T. Mike in the dugout has definitely been a huge change. Our program would not be where it is today without the support and love from T. Mike. T. Mike was a major component in our program's success. Like I said, Brenau softball would not be what it is today without trainer Mike. At this time, we would like to present you with a special gift. In 2012, Coach Thomas asked T. Mike to design a uniform for the program. We would like to present you with a recreation of that journey in his memory. Thank you.